Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 11, Episode 46, overall 596 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family-run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership is the official sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show for the past 3 years. And I had to bring my car in today for some servicing, and I want to give a shout-out to Barry Cullen Chevrolet mechanic Jim Zettel for servicing my car as well, and they do provide great customer service there as well. So that's another reason to check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Quality products and quality customer service as well. I hope everybody is doing well. I can't believe it's already Friday, September 26, 2025, and I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. I met him through another mutual guest friend of ours, Michelle Renee Kagan, a couple weeks ago, and he's been a fan of my show as well, and I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. His name is Edward Hearn. He is a Navy ground support equipment technician, and he's also a motorcycle racing veteran. And I'm looking forward to speaking to Edward about his 20-year career in the U.S. military, as well as his motorcycle career and how he got into it, and maybe some of his influences and mentors, and what he loves about the most about driving motorcycles as well. And talk to him a little bit about some of the circuits in the state of California that he drives on as well. We're going to bring on our guest, Edward Hearn, right now. Good evening, or good afternoon, Edward. How are you?
Doing, Chris. How you doing? You doing good?
I am doing good. I guess it is almost evening in LA. It's at what, 5 o'clock your time?
Yes, it is. A little bit after 5.
So how's things in your neck of the world?
Today it's a little overcast today. No rain, but a little cooler. It's been hot the whole week, 100 plus degrees out here. But today it was like, probably like low to mid 90s. So it was pretty enjoyable.
Hey, for driving a motorcycle, what's the ideal weather like for a motorcycle rider like yourself?
Well, here in California, you're going to have pretty much about 75% of the time it's going to be sunny. So, clear skies, nice, beautiful weather. The only thing you have to deal with is the heat, but if you're on the highway, on the freeway, riding your motorcycle, heat's not really an issue. It's the stop and go traffic, or you stopped at a red light and you just get to one of those traffic lights that just take forever. You just start boiling. So,
where do you race in California? Do you just race in one specific city, or all across California and Nevada?
All across.
I think I lost your audio there, Edward. Yeah, I think I lost. Okay, everybody, I just think we lost Edward's audio. So hopefully, Edward, yeah, I can see you, but I can't hear you. I think it's your audio. Yeah, it's just the audio issue with Edward. So hopefully we can get Edward back on. I can see Edward, but okay, I think your audio came back on. It just popped off for like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. The tracks I've been to with Auto Club Speedway, which is no longer around anymore. Um, Willow Springs International Raceway, Button Willow Raceway Park, Button Willow Raceway Circuit, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is in Las Vegas, and then Arizona Motorsports Park, which is in Arizona.
Do you have a particular favorite park to race at?
My favorite park right now, I would have to say, is the Button Willow Raceway Circuit. That's a track they just finished construction back in January. It had been under construction for about 5 years. It got held up because of COVID. So COVID put a big damper on that. And yeah, so far that's my favorite track to race at, with Las Vegas Motor Speedway coming into a close second.
Currently, right now, is it the on season or is it the off season for motorcycle racing?
It's on season. We're coming up on the end of the season. Second week of October will be the last race of the season. So we'll go into off season and uh, start prepping, getting ready for 2026.
How many days a week do you race?
Uh, Usually it's once a month. Usually it's a practice on Friday, which is a free practice Friday, and then qualifying Saturday morning, racing Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday practice Sunday morning, and then race Sunday afternoon.
By the way, I have a viewer watching our show on Instagram. She was actually a guest on my show a couple weeks ago. Her name is Kim Avery, and she is an actress. And I believe Kim Avery. She's an actress. She is watching, and she wants to say hello to you, Edward.
Hey Kim, how you doing?
Kim, if you are still watching us on Instagram live, if you have any comments or questions for Edward, please feel free to type them in the inbox as well. And that's what I love about this show is connecting with people from different parts of the world and different parts of careers and industries. When for you guys on the bike.
Say that again, Chris. You kind of broke up there. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. When you're racing on various tracks, what's the average lengths? Like how long are these tracks that you race on?
The shortest track, which is Las Vegas Motor Speedway, is 1.8 miles, and the biggest track is Willow Springs International Raceway. I believe it's 2.5 miles. So that's the biggest track I've been on so far.
What's your favorite track to race at in your career so far, and which track has been the most difficult for you, if there has been one?
Ooh, uh, favorite track to race at so far has been Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The most difficult track has been Button Willow Raceway, just because the track is so long and it's so many turns on the track that you're constantly getting off the bike, switchbacks from left to right. So your whole body is getting a whole workout.
Which track? Which I'll reword this question. Obviously, you guys want perfect weather when you're racing. Have you raced in some inclement weather as motorcycle riders?
Oh yeah, I've raced in the rain last year at Willow Springs International Raceway. And the funny thing that happened when the race started, it was dry, so I had racing slicks on the bike, and at the starting line it was dry, but then when we got to the top of the hill at turn five, it was raining. So racing in the rain with race slicks on. So it gets a little bit sketchy when you got slicks on and it's wet weather.
Out of curiosity, Edward, what kind of speeds or average speeds are like for your racing?
Average speed, on average, I'm doing anywhere between 85 and 90 miles an hour. So average speed. Um, and my top speed that I ever went was 157 miles an hour. That's my top speed so far.
What would you say to those people that are watching this show, live stream and audio, and they're interested in getting into motorcycles, and your advice on that, and also the risk factor? How much of a risk are you taking when you do every time you go on a motorcycle?
Well, getting a motorcycle, I would tell anybody, do not go out and get that 1000 cc Superbike. Usually people want to get started in the ride. They want the fastest, most popular thing. And when you do that, that's the most dangerous because in first gear, you're getting up to 100 plus miles an hour in first gear. And, it's so much little room for error when you get a bike with that much horsepower. A lot of these bikes are putting out 200 horsepower. So, anybody that wants to get into it, I would say start off on a 600 cc bike. That's like the perfect bike to start out on. You will not outgrow it. If you're more of a heavy set guy, then you might have to get that 750 or 1000. But majority of people, 600 is a perfect starter bike.
Wanted to ask you this, Edward, as well. I know in horse racing, the jockeys, they want them to not weigh very much. Riding motorcycles, I'm assuming if the better condition you are, the skinnier, the lighter you are, the better it is overall.
Exactly. The skinnier, you are, the lighter. The better handling the bike has. But there's also modifications that we do on a production race bike. Far as weight reduction, we can make the bike lighter by, taking off the stock exhaust and we'll put on a race exhaust, which will save you about 12 to 15 pounds just changing out the exhaust system because you're eliminating the catalytic converter, which weighs about 12 pounds. If you ever take one of these things apart, it's just so much weight. You can also eliminate another 5 pounds by going to a lightweight battery. So there's a few modifications you can do. If your body type isn't the lighter body type, you can do some weight modifications on a motorcycle itself.
Edward, can you tell our audience a little bit about the equipment, all the equipment that's involved? Obviously, having the bike, but equipment for the bike, but also for yourself as well, as making sure you have a very good helmet as well.
Equipment. For myself, a nice, good race suit. Myself, I'm not. I don't have that European body style, so the race suits that I have and the one I have on right now is a custom race suit. Um, I have my sponsor, Envy Racing Apparel. They made this suit. They came in, they took my measurements and everything. They made the suit custom to my body, and along with that, they put all the protection in with the back protector. Uh, I got shoulder armor in the shoulders, armor in the forearms, my elbows. I got pads in my thigh to protect my femur. I got pads in the stomach to protect my abs. I got knee sliders to protect my knees. I also got knee pads, just to protect my knees if I do happen to have a get off. I have shin guards, racing boots, uh, are like almost fully plated steel. Like limited movement when you put these things on, they kind of almost feel like a cast when you zip them up to your suit. So you have very little movement, but when you're on the bike, the boots are designed to move with you on the motorcycle. But if you happen to have a crash or something like that, the armor in the boots, usually protects you from twisting your ankle or getting a possible foot fracture or things of that nature. Even though it does still happen at time, but just the quality of the suits they make nowadays is like top tier.
On average, what's an average motorcycle racing suit go for? On average.
Average motorcycle racing suit right now is about I would say anywhere between 12 to $1,500. Um, so that's what you're looking at. They have the new technology where they have the airbag suits, which is kind of like an airbag in a car. if you happen to crash, they got sensors in the suit, so the sensors, notify that you're not on the motorcycle anymore, and the suit inflates, so it protects all your vital organs and stuff. Those suits run about anywhere between $3,000 and $3,500 with the air vest.
In your time in being a motorcycle racer, how much has the equipment improved and safety improved over the years you've been doing this?
It's improved greatly. They've made the suits um, just as good, or not better, but lighter weight. So they're getting away from the using the heavy material. They're going to lighter weight material, and the suits. The protection that they're putting in them is, they're going up. After development and stuff, they're putting better plated armor in the suits. The helmets are more aerodynamic compared to what it was 5 years ago. The aerodynamics on the helmet are made it more where you can tuck behind the windscreen and you could get, nice airflow. We can get nice, good downforce along with lightweight. The helmets have, the weight of the helmet has reduced as well, at least by maybe 2 or 3 pounds.
What do you consider a good helmet for motorcycle racing?
A good helmet right now is Swami. I think Swami helmets is the best helmets on the market right now. Not just because I'm sponsored by them, but I've had different helmets that I've raced in, and at the end of the race, I would either have my neck would be sore the next day, but the Swami helmet, lightweight, very nice design. I have no neck problems. I got full range of motion, and I'm looking through the turn. So I would have to say Swami by far is the most, probably the best helmet and the best affordable helmet right now.
Since you brought them up, can you mention some of your sponsors and how important it is for a motorcycle professional to have sponsors as well for what you're doing?
The current sponsors I have right now is Swami helmets. I have GoPro camera. I have Cha 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 Motorsports. That's the race shop that actually sponsors me here in Riverside. I have DynoJet. They provide the fuel mapping kits for my motorcycle for fuel management. Vortex Racing is one of my other sponsors. Envy Racing Apparel. They're the ones that designed this race suit. Soldier Racing. That's the race team that I'm on. YDA Composites. They do my body work and fabrication. And let's see, who else am I forgetting? Uh, uh, let's see, and Woodcraft. I have them. Dunlop Tire. That's my sponsor for my racing tires that I use. That's pretty much it as far as the sponsors I have right now. They provide so much support. I know GoPro wasn't too happy with me when I had a crash about 9 months ago, and I tore up a GoPro camera and had to get another one. So I don't think they were too happy that I tore up their camera, but I got another camera. So things happen. They understood, and we got a new camera. The purse money, as far as like paying for entrance fees and things of that nature, travel costs, hotel room stays. Having a sponsor is huge because a lot of your sponsors will cover that along with, you know, purse money that you win. Sponsor usually gets a cut of that. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a trade off, though. I love it.
Edward, you've been racing for a long time. Have you been in a lot of accidents? And if you've had one, have you? Obviously, accidents are a part of it, and they do happen. Which one was kind of the worst one that it took you the while to recover from?
Oh, that was the one I just had back in November. Um, I was uh, probably like into lap six and going into a turn, fully leaned over and got tagged, got collected by another rider. Both of us fell off the bike, um, and I tumbled a few. It felt like I was tumbling forever. I actually know what clothes feel like in a dryer now. as long as I tumbled, because it just felt like I wasn't going to stop. I was tumbling forever, but when I got up, I still had the adrenaline was still pumping. So, the first day, me, oh shoot, okay, I'm all right. How's my bike? I'm more worried about my race bike than myself. And, once, medical crews got over there, checked on me, that's when all the pain set in. I had severe bruised hip, a bruised forearm, bruised hand, which the hand is what took the longest to recover because it was so delicate and it was a deep tissue bruise. So I'm a push up guy. So, I usually do 200 push ups a day. So it
Wow.
literally took me about about 2.5 months to be able to start doing push ups effectively just because of the type of injury it was. It wasn't nothing broken. It was just the severity of the bruise just took forever for it to heal the correct way.
Glad you're okay. And I wanted to ask you, your mindset, was it a little bit, were you a little bit, um, kind of not scared, but you kind of a little shaky when you got back on the bike after your injury?
Yeah, that was definitely an issue. I know when I got back on the bike and I had my next race that I went to when I was practicing, when I went into my first couple of turns, I kept looking back out of the corner of my eye because I kept kind of having flashbacks of getting hit by the other rider. So the first couple of turns, that was just a habit I had to break. That the I wasn't going to get hit, but in my mind, I was still having flashbacks of taking that hit and falling off the bike. So it went away though. After I say after about a couple of laps, it was okay.
How important is it for a motorcycle racer to get insurance? Is it easy to get insurance doing what you're doing, which is kind of high risk?
It is not easy. Most people do this as a side job. They usually have a regular job as well that provides insurance and that will cover for things of this nature. So I haven't had an issue getting insurance, but I know people that to get motorcycle racing insurance is it costs your arm and a leg. We're talking about anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Just to get
Wow.
motorcycle racer insurance. So it's pretty expensive, and you can't race without it because they make you sign a waiver that you do have medical insurance. So yeah, you got to have it.
Wanted to ask you this, Edward. How popular is motorcycle racing in the state of California and in general in the States? And do you have to be licensed or certified to do what you're doing?
Yes, it's really popular here in California. It's kind of like 50-50. Well, no, I would say 80-20. As far as motorcycle riders, 80% of the riders here ride, but only like 20 to 25% of us race competitively. And you can't just show up to a racetrack and say, "Oh, I'm going to race this weekend." There's training you got to go through. You have to go through a class to get the race etiquette, knowing what the flags are, understanding the flags, understanding how to navigate corners, how to make passes safely, um, how to ride fast and effectively. So you actually go through a course, and then at the end of the day, you go out with an actual racer, and they grade you on how you ride and how you're able to navigate through traffic, or and so have you. And they have what you call a mock race. They'll take all the new racers that's trying to get their license for that day, and they'll have them do a race. And the key to this mock race is you have to finish the whole race without crashing. If you could finish the whole race without crashing, you can get your competition license. So it's pretty exciting.
What's the training process overall like? And on average, how many laps do you do when you're racing on a circuit in a park?
Uh, well, there depending on what race class you do, I do the 600 GT, which is the Grand Touring class. That's 16 laps. So I'm doing 16 laps. Um, and some of the other races that I do is only 8 laps. But the 16 lap race is the most challenging, but it's the most fun for me.
You took an interest at the age of 6 into motorcycling at the age of 6. What person or specific moment got you to fall in love with riding bikes?
That's a great question. I was sitting at home one day, and me and my dad were watching TV, and they had the Daytona. I think it was the Daytona 200 came on, and there was this one guy named Miguel Duhamel, and he's a fellow Canadian native from Montreal, but that was he had one of the coolest bikes I had ever saw. It was a Smoking Joe's Camel design, and it was I believe it was a Honda that he was on, and I saw that bike, and then I found out what his name was, and that I kind of fell in love with what those guys were doing at that age, and it was something that I was always interested in.
You remember the first motorcycle bike that you had and the first ride you went on with?
The first motorcycle bike I had was a 2001. Um, well, I had a little 50cc bike, but that really don't count. But my first actual motorcycle was a 2001 Suzuki Katana, and I thought that was like the coolest bike ever, until I actually learned how to ride, and I was like, okay, no, it's not the coolest bike, but it was my first bike, and that was my first time I ever dropped a bike, which was kind of embarrassing. I was just sitting there and trying to learn how to ride the bike, and stalled it out, and the bike took a dive, and I dropped it on the first day. So,
How supportive was your family when you got into this? You know how moms are, but how supportive were they to get into this?
uh, my mom, she doesn't like it. She'll go to the races, but you know, I took her to one race, and it was we're all sitting there, we're getting ready to race, and one of the things you're not supposed to say is crash, and we're all sitting there getting ready to race, and she just says, "I hope you don't go out there and crash." And everybody just like lost it. They were just like, "Oh no, you can't say that, Miss Hearn. You can't talk about crashing. That's like the cardinal sin." But she didn't know. But she's more supportive of it now, because believe it or not, it's a lot safer racing on a motorcycle racetrack than it is actually riding on the street.
I wanted to ask you this too. Before you do one of these circuits in the parks and stuff like that, do you have any superstitions before you get on the bike?
Well, it's funny. I always pray before I go out on the track. And my the guy that his name is Martin Waples. He's our team manager, and it's funny. We're all sitting there getting ready to go out on the track, and he goes to every single bike. He prays over every single bike and every single rider before we leave that garage and go out on the track. So yeah, that's one of the things I always do. I always pray before I go out on the track for myself and the other racers that's out there.
On average, Edward, when you're competing, how many other bikes riders are out there with you?
Sometimes it'll be 10 bikes. Sometimes it'll be 40 bikes. So The more the merrier. When you got 40 bikes out there and everybody's trying to get that number one spot, that's the most exciting time is when you have that many bikes because it's just that much more competitive with 40 other guys all trying to get that first place.
What's the biggest crowd that you've raced in front of so far in your career?
Biggest crowd I've raced at in my career, I would say it would have to be probably
I think we lost Edward's audio. Yeah, I can see Edward. Unfortunately, your audio, Edward. Yes. Everybody, just bear with me. It's Edward's audio just kicked out, so I'm just gonna send him a little message. Yeah, I think you're. Are you back, Edward?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back.
Yeah, your audio just kicked out there for a few seconds.
Okay.
Can you repeat what you were saying again? Thanks.
Willow Springs was probably the biggest turnout, far as biggest crowd support, um, and that was just I was not expecting that to happen, and it was actually kind of actually made me nervous, but I was like, oh shoot, who are all these guys? Like I never seen this size of a crowd before, but it was pretty exciting too.
What's the media exposure like for the sport right now in California?
Well, it's kind of slimmed down. Um, there's been a lot of track closures the last couple of years. With Auto Club Speedway closing down, and now more than likely Willow Springs International Raceway is going to be next on the closure list. The media exposure has kind of dwindled a little bit, just because not too many people are really familiar with the sport now because it's not really televised on TV anymore because they used to go up to Laguna Seca and Auto Club Speedway where they got all the media attention. But, a lot of the professional guys don't even come to California anymore. So, it's kind of sad, but
Do you feel that do you feel eventually it'll rebound at some point?
the way it's looking right now, I'm very hopeful that it will rebound. Um, It might take a couple of years. Say it might take about 4 or 5 years, for the sport to rebound in California. But the more that they keep closing down tracks, the less and less media exposure is going to be. So if they can keep these tracks open, it'll come back. But if they keep closing these tracks, the exposure is just going to go away.
When you race, is it always in the daytime, or do they have nighttime racing as well?
No nighttime racing. I wish they did have some nighttime races, but no, all the races are done in the day just because there's a huge safety risk with a lot of these tracks not having lighting for nighttime racing. So all the races are done during the daytime.
Do they assign each rider a number?
They do. Actually, when you start racing, once you get your competition license, they have a number pool, and you go in there. You pretty much have to go in the number pool and see what numbers are available for you to take. And if the number's available, you're allowed to take it, and that's your race number. As long as you keep competing every year, you'll get to keep that same number. If you happen to miss a year and not pay your race license renewal fee, then that number goes back in the lottery pool, and somebody else can get it.
Edward, can you tell us about your current bike? The one
Um,
Go ahead.
I'm currently on two bikes right now. I'm on a 2008 Yamaha R6, and I'm on a 2011 Yamaha R6. They're both identical. because from 2008 to 2016, Yamaha never changed the body style, any parts. They made the bike the exact same for 8 years. So both the bikes I have are identical.
Here's a fun fact about myself that nobody knows about. When I was 6 years old, living near Toronto, my late dad, who had a farm outside of Toronto, would take me on a dirt bike with him, and I actually loved it. And when I was 7 or 8, I was driving my own dirt bike and snowmobile. It was different times back then, but it was safe, and I really liked being on a dirt bike, driving on a farm, and snowmobiles as well. That's a fun fact about myself. And some of the dirt bikes back then were Kawasaki. Are they still around, or no? Are they still around?
Kawasaki is
Kawasaki.
still around. They are
Wow.
thriving right now.
Wow. What's the one thing that you always make sure you look after on your bike? What's the number one thing you make sure is working on your bike for you?
Well, there's a number of things, but the most important is the brakes. I always make sure, my brakes are serviced, checking my brake pads, brake fluid, changing out my brake fluid regularly. That's the most important. The second most important is my tires. I'm always checking my tires for wear, tire pressure. Tire pressure is probably one of the most important factors when you're racing because too much pressure, you can prematurely wear out a tire, and too low of a pressure, the bike may not turn properly. So usually the Dunlop tire guy, I'll reach out to him every morning. I'm like, okay, what are the recommended tire pressures for today? And we'll write those numbers down and we'll make sure we keep the tires inflated at that pressure so that, we can get full use out of the race tire.
What's it like being a two-time WERA West champion? What was that like?
Oh, the first one I won in 2019, that was the most rewarding because my my mom and dad and my sister were there the day I won it, and when I won it that day, I don't know, it was kind of an emotional day, because I guess when I came across the line, they had announced it, and of course I'm on a motorcycle, I couldn't hear it, but they were like, okay, your 2019 modern vintage champion, is coming across in first place, and it really didn't hit me till I got in, and then my parents are there doing the podium celebration and stuff, and I get this trophy and everything. So that one was the most rewarding. And then my second one I got in 2022. That one was rewarding because that was the year COVID had hit, where, well, COVID was still going on. So, races were kind of hit and miss. But we're actually able to race that season. And I actually won, for the second time. And, it just felt good. And after that, I started getting invites to like cycle gear, bike nights, and things of that nature. And it was pretty cool because little kids would come up to me, and just, want to talk to me, want to sit on the bike. And, little kids, they're so impressionable. And I think that's, the most rewarding is interacting with kids and just seeing the look on their face and the smiles and the happiness, being able to sit on a bike and that that's the most rewarding. Just talking to kids, and I've never turned a kid away. If I'm done with interviews and talking to people, I could be packing up, getting ready to go home. If a kid comes up to me and wants to talk, I'll drop whatever I'm doing, just to talk to that kid for a couple of minutes and entertain them, whatever questions they have.
And you know what? That is a wonderful thing because these young kids are very impressionable, like you and I were, and they might just they might not forget this experience. And who knows, maybe in 10, 15 years, they might be driving alongside you as well in the future.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And there'll probably be a lot more fearless than I am right now. Where they just have no fear. You know, a lot of these young kids now, they have no fear at all.
I'm going to put you on the spot with this question, Edward. What's
Okay.
next? What is next on your bucket list for racing for Edward Hearn?
Next on my bucket list, I would like to race at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. That's on my bucket list. That's a well-known track, a world-famous track, and that's one of the tracks I would love to race on. You know, before I hang it up and call it a career.
Have you thought about hanging it up recently, or are you just taking 1 week, one event at a time?
I haven't. It hasn't crossed my mind. I want to race till I'm about 70 years old. If I'm able to, I'll still do it, but we'll see how that happens. I know the last crash I had, you know, just because of the severity of the crash, you know, the thought did cross my mind, you know, what am I doing out here? Like, is this something I really want to do? But it was just, you know, at the moment, you know, everything, you know, you're just trying to, you know, regather yourself and everything. It's like, oh yeah, you know, it happens. You know, I'm gonna keep doing this for at least I'll say comfortably at least another 5 to 10 more years.
How many states have you driven a motorcycle in, and who are some of the other top drivers right now in your circuit that you compete against?
Uh, the states I've driven to, Arizona and Las Vegas, those are the only states I've driven to go compete. Top competitors right now, uh, my buddy Bill Coolahan, we call him Bill Cool. He right now he destroyed me this year. Championship points wise, we're going into the last round of the season. He's got an 80 point lead over me. So pretty much he doesn't even have to show up this last race round. He's already won the championship. So I'm gonna be sitting there, you know, not too comfortably in second. I still could lose second place, you know, if I don't perform well. So but yeah, he's one of my biggest competitors. He's like light years ahead of me. He's a lot younger too. So him and then Shavik, he's one of my other fierce competitors. He's just in another world too. You know, these guys are just on faster, more up to date bikes. You know, I'm talking, you know, 2022, 2024 type motorcycles where I'm on a 2008. So, as far as technology wise, they have the technology on their bikes that I just don't have.
Edward, can you tell my audience and myself as well, I'm still learning, what the point system like? How did that work with you guys?
For the point system, first place is 25 points, second place is 20, third place is 16, and then fourth place is 15, and then fifth is 12, and then sixth is 11, and seven is 10, and then 9, 8, all the way down to 16th. 16th place, you get 1 point. So top 16 score points. Everybody after that scores a 0.
How much would you say you've evolved and improved as a motorcycle rider over the years?
Um, Measuring it by time wise, when I first started, give you a good example. When I first started at Auto Club Speedway, which is no longer around, my lap times were about 2 minutes and 10 seconds for a basic lap. And I got to the point years into it where now I'm running like a minute and 38 seconds. So I'm almost 40 seconds faster than when I started years ago. You know, yeah, about 30, 35 seconds faster than I was years ago. So I've came a long way as a racer.
Do you have any mentors in motorcycle racing?
Mentors right now, really don't. I have one mentor, Martin Waples. He's like my team lead. He's usually the one that, you know, telling me, you know, praying over the bikes, telling me what I'm doing wrong. He's constantly in my ear. You're not getting off the bike. You're braking too early. You need to carry more speed and into turn 3. And it's so frustrating at times. I just want to walk away from him, like, dude, just leave me alone. But, he means well. And, before every race, we have a talk the night before and the morning of. And even if he's not there, he'll call me, he'll say a prayer, we'll talk. And, I'll go racing and then I'll update him. Another person is Terry Hearn. He owns the race shop, Cha 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 Motorsports. That's my sponsor. Very well known mechanic. He does all the maintenance, engine work on my bikes if it needs engine repair. And I have to mention my dad as well. I always talk to him, before, I race, and then after I race, I talk to my dad. So.
Edward, when your motorcycle career is done in the future, have you thought about writing a book?
No, I haven't thought about writing a book. I have thought about actually, coaching, being like, I guess, I don't know what you call it, but you go out and you just try and recruit racers to come in and start racing, and just walk away from the sport, but still be in the sport, recruiting racers to come out and race and showing them the ropes, and just trying to get their foot into the door.
Hey, Edwards, before we wrap this show up in a few minutes, I wanted to play a clip from the California Motorcycle Racing action video, one of the clips you sent me. It's from May 3rd, and just let me know if you can hear the audio as well. I just wanted to show our audience here in Canada a little bit about what riding a bike is like.
Okay.
This is from Motorcycle Racing Action, May 3rd, 2025 at Button Willow Race Park. 600 GT race. Let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
All right. Freezing up. Uh,
Thoughts on that video? Thoughts on that video, Edward?
that race, I had a real good battle with I think his name is Johan, but we were kind of going back and forth, and that one right there, I believe that was lap 13. Of us just going back and forth, and we're pretty much just beat at the end, where it's just like, okay, who's got enough left in the tank, to take this. But that was a fun race that day, and it wasn't too hot. If you could see the weather, it was overcast that day, so it was perfect weather for racing.
Edward, how can our audience follow you on your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is going to be Edward Hearns. That's with an S, HEARNS underscore 54 for YouTube. So you go on there, subscribe to my channel. I upload all my race videos up on there. If you can't make it to the track, you definitely will see the racing footage a day or two after.
Is there a story behind the number 54?
The story behind 54 was the 54th Massachusetts, which was Army regiment back during the Civil War. So that's where the whole 54 is a color regiment back in the Civil War. So that's where the whole thing came from. A little military history, my military background.
What are 3 words to describe yourself as a motorcycle rider? 3 words.
Ooh, 3 words. Wow, Chris. I would have to say tactical, adaptive, and resilient is the third one I'll have to go with.
And How I Met You, Edward, was about a month ago, I believe, or maybe 2 months ago, through, I guess, Michelle Renee Kagan. How did you end up connecting with Michelle Renee Kagan?
Oh, we went to school together. We went to elementary school together, junior high and high school. Had a bunch of classes together. I played football, and she was the cheerleader in our high school years. So, go to the park and play. She was always at the park as little kids. So we pretty much through our whole childhood.
And I think she's watching. So, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on my show a couple months ago and connecting us with Edward. And that's what I love about this show, the storytelling, the connecting, and meeting people from all walks of life and different countries as well. And Michelle is a good person as well. And I'm glad that you got to connect with me through Michelle.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate this. And I have to say, Chris, when that 2026 schedule comes out, I'm definitely going to send you a copy of it. Maybe you can make a race or something where you can come out and see the race in action firsthand. I think it'd be pretty cool for you to see firsthand, what goes on. And also, if you have a chance, send me your address. I would like to send you an autograph photo.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And before we wrap this show up, I just wanted to ask you one question about your military career. Congratulations in your 20-year service with the U.S. military. Can you just tell us a little bit about your 20 years and what made you get into the military in the first place?
Oh, what made me get into it in the first place? High school senior. I was pretty good at sports, football, basketball, baseball, track and field. I ended up getting a scholarship to New Mexico State for football, and I got to New Mexico State. Didn't work out at all. I mean, I got there about a week, two later. I was done. I was like, nah, this is not for me. I got there, found out I didn't have a scholarship, because of my height. I said I was 5'8" and I was actually 5'6". So that wasn't going to work. So didn't have a scholarship, came back home and, was trying to get a job. Nobody would hire me. And I was like, you know what? I can't sit here and live off mom and dad no more. I'm going to go to the military. And the goal was to just go to the military and do 3 years and then come back and go to school, and just be a walk on at, USC or UCLA or something like that. But it ended up turning into 20, good years that, I've traveled the world. I've seen multiple places. I've been to multiple different countries and it's been very rewarding. I wouldn't change it for a thing.
What was your most memorable moment in the military, and which country? Obviously, you're from the States. Which country did you really enjoy going to the most?
The country I really enjoyed going to the most was Australia. I had never seen a kangaroo before in my life up close, and I got to see one up close and personal, and it scared the living mess out of me. Um, so I think that was one of the most memorable because they look weird. They look scary. I don't want to see a kangaroo. I'm scared of a kangaroo. But that country, Australia, was a lot of the things were the same, but if you want a great steak, Australia is the spot.
That's on my bucket list, by the way. And have you ever been to Canada yet?
I have. I was actually stationed up at Whidbey Island, Washington, which is in Oak Harbor, and Vancouver was like maybe an hour drive from Whidbey Island, and we used to go to Vancouver on the weekend, just to get out of the U.S. and go over and have a good time. And at the time, you didn't need a passport; your military ID was your
Yeah.
passport, so it was
Yes.
easy for us to just go over there and have a great weekend and blow off some steam or whatever, and then just come back.
I haven't been out to Vancouver. I've actually been more of the States than my own country. So right now, my bucket list for the next couple years is to travel more into Canada, in Western Canada and BC and Australia as well. I have another viewer before we wrap this up. She's a friend of mine and she's been on my show, and I'm sure you saw her on my show a couple weeks ago. Her name is Nikki Styles Baker. She says kangaroos are scary, and then she goes, huge rodent. I don't know about that, but I want to say thank you to Nikki for watching, and I'm gonna be on Nikki's show next Friday night. Next Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 your time. I'm gonna be on Nikki's show on Facebook.
Okay, I gotta make sure you send me the link on that. I'll definitely check that out.
Definitely, and Nikki is a friend of mine, and what I love about this show too is the storytelling, the learning aspect, and connecting with people, and meeting people from different parts of the world. So everybody always talks about the negative aspects of the internet and social media, but if you use it the right way, it can be a really good tool. And I got to ask you this too before we wrap it up, Edward. How big is social media and the internet for what you're doing with your motorcycle riding?
Oh, social media is huge. I think that's how I actually got noticed. Um, just putting my videos up on YouTube and then, copying the link and putting them on Facebook and Instagram. And, that's how, I started, getting followers and other racers and, just different people just reaching out to me, either wanting to know how to get into the sport, congratulating me on, maybe a race victory, or, just want to pick my brain and ask me questions, or, how to work on, they might have the same make and model bike as I do. So they might have a maintenance question that, they're not really familiar with. Oh, how do you change out your rear tire? And pretty much I have a video, a how-to video of how to change out your rear tire. So it's pretty cool.
Any plans to have a website at some point?
I might try and do something next year for 2026. Uh, Depending on how the schedule looks, we might try and create a website. Um, don't know the name yet, but it will be something race related. Where we can stream more, material and things of that nature. So yeah, that's something we've been looking at.
And finally, as we wrap up the show, Edward, what's some fun facts or a fun fact about Edward Hearn?
Fun fact about me. Well, I would have to say I'm a big kid and I'm a video gamer. So I love playing video games, especially like Ace Combat, Call of Duty, um, Battlefield, um, and just being a big kid. I'm a grandfather of three, and I'm like the biggest kid ever. I'll get down in the floor, I'll chase you around up and down the street. I'm very active.
What do you like the most about California?
What I like most about there's so many different roads in California, like open roads where I have a street bike, which is a 2016 Yamaha R6, and I can just wake up one morning, it's nice and sunny, and I could just take my bike on some backcountry road and just go wherever I want to go. It's just so many open roads in California that you can take that'll take you to so many different places that people don't even know about, like hidden gems, just like back out in the mountains and backcountry and stuff. That you just like, oh, I didn't know this was here. So it's California just has so much to offer when it comes to motorcycle riding.
Are you, besides motorcycle riding, are you a big sports fan?
I'm a huge sports fan. Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, and Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. Oh, if I'd known you were a Detroit Lions fan, I would have mentioned you to Matt Derry today. So the next time I have Matt Derry on or Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, on my show, I'm going to make sure I give them a shout out for you. Okay.
Okay, definitely.
Detroit Lions fan out in California. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so we'll be seeing you and the Detroit Lions on Sunday, November 16th at 8:25 Eastern at Lincoln Financial Field, and I think it's going to be Eagles and Lions this year to play for the Super Bowl from the NFC. I really feel it's going to be those two teams.
Yeah, yeah. Detroit has really impressed me, especially with that win over Baltimore. I wasn't expecting that, but they got a huge running game this year. I like the changes they made, giving Gibbs more carry time. It just makes them that much more of an offensive weapon.
I will say hi to Matt Derry for you because he's a longtime Detroit radio media personality and he knows the Lions as well as anybody. So I'm not sure how much of the show you got to saw Matt, but I want to just check it out because if you're a Detroit Lions fan, me and Matt had a really good conversation today about the Lions.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch that one.
Okay, Edward, as we wrap up this show, where can our audience again follow you on social media, your YouTube channel handle, and how can they help out with the sponsorship if somebody's watching in California or anywhere in the States?
Well, YouTube. My is Edward Hearns with an S underscore 54. My Instagram is Edward underscore Hearn 54 for my Instagram, and then my Facebook is just Edward Hearn. Ways you can help me out. Usually, far as helping me out, I like helping out people. So what I'll usually tell people is like, hey, sponsor me, whatever company or whatever brand you're trying to market, get off the ground. If you have a sticker, I will put the sticker on my bike and I will represent you on social media. Every time I finish a race, I will broadcast your name or whatever. And in turn, all I just ask is just promote my racing, if it be financially or just by word of mouth or just sharing my content with other people so I can get noticed.
Do you have any more racings before the off season in October?
I have a race coming up next weekend, the Willow Springs Superbike Showdown. That's going to be on Saturday, October 4th. And then I have the season finale for California Road Racing Association um, at Buttonwillow Raceway Circuit. and it's going to be practice on October 11th. Um, well, practice October 10th, racing October 11th, racing October 12th, and then that's it. Season's over. We'll see how we finish. If we finish it, we keep our second place, or we get relegated down to third. But I'm really we gonna keep it in second. We gonna hold the number 2 spot.
How long is the off season before you start up again for the 2026 season?
We got a 4 to 5 month off season. So during the off season, I usually take the bike apart, not down to a frame, but I'll do fluid changes, changing my oil, changing my brake fluid, changing out the chain and sprockets, fork oil, just doing a regular off season maintenance, making sure the bike is ready for 2026 season, and then I'll go on different websites and see if anybody's offering any practices at any local tracks, let it be Button Willow, Vegas, or Willow Springs. And if there's some free practice where I can go in and, maybe get a half day, just having some seat time on a motorcycle, that's really important during the off season, along with staying in shape. I'm usually running about 2 miles 3 times a week, along with doing my push-ups, sit-ups, cardio, and things of that nature. Just staying in shape during the off season. That's really important, when it comes to racing these motorcycles.
As we wrap up this show, Edward, I have a new segment. It's called Ask CDP a Question. Do you have a question for me before we wrap it up?
I do. Um, what is it that motivates you most on a daily? When you wake up, what's your driving force that motivates you day after day?
I want to prove traditional radio and traditional media wrong about me. I'm 53 years old. I'm self-taught to media and to live streaming, and I want to prove to the radio industry and the media industry that you don't have to be 20 years old to be in this industry. I have a strong passion for radio and media work, and I'm always wanting to learn and prove getting better. And I don't want to be judged that. I don't think anyone should be judged based on their age and their background. As long as somebody has a passion and is willing to work hard and to learn to keep improving, give people an opportunity regardless of their age.
Awesome. Well, from me to you, I think you're doing a very good job, and I wish you much success in the future. And I hope to be able to do this with you again one day.
Absolutely. And when you see Michelle next, say hi to her for me. And hopefully one day I'll have Michelle and you on both at the same time.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd probably be more comical than awesome, but
we'll try to figure it out. But I want to say, Edward, thank you for coming on tonight, giving us over an hour of your time. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and continued success in your motorcycle career, and congratulations on your 20-year career in the U.S. military as well. And thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you very much for having me on. This was definitely a great experience, and this is one I will never forget. Thank you.
Well, hey, it's the guests that make the show. I'm just a host. I've been very lucky to get a lot of guests, and I tell new podcasters to reach out to people, and most people will come on, and just keep doing what you're doing. Whatever you're doing, riding a motorcycle, wanting to get in the media, you need to have that passion, but you also have to be willing to work at it. And you do take your lumps and you have your setbacks, but you have to have a strong mindset and belief in yourself. And I'm sure that you have the same thing as well with doing the motorcycle riding.
Most definitely.
Okay, Edward. Well, thank you so much. Give me a little bit of time tonight, and I will send you the full video, the audio, and I'll do some reels and clips for you, and then you can share it on your social media pages as well. Thank you so much, and continued success, and we'll talk to you soon on social media, Edward.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night, Chris.
You too. Thank you so much, Edward. All right, everyone, that concludes season 11, episode 46, overall 596 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Again, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com. And again, I want to say thank you to Edward Hearn. He is a Navy ground support equipment tech, and he was in the military in the U.S. for 20 years, and he's also a motorcycle racing veteran as well. So thank you to Edward Hearn for coming on. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this show on live stream. Thank you, Nikki and Kim and George Brown. And thank you to everyone that will listen to the show later on audio platforms as well. It's hard to believe 596 episodes and counting, and 600's coming up next week. And I do have more shows lined up for next week as well. And speaking of shows for next week, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again brought to you by barrycullen.com, is going to be on Monday, September 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Kim Tran. She is a self-love manifestation coach. So Kim Tran, a self-love and manifestation coach, will be on to talk a little bit about her career as well. And I met her through TikTok as well. And speaking of TikTok, you guys can follow this content creator on TikTok at Chris Palme, on TikTok. And again, I want to say thank you to everyone watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, Instagram, and also on my audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available. And I want to say thank you to Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast and Edward Hearn for coming on here tonight to talk a little bit about his motorcycle career as well. And please make sure you follow him on his social media platforms. I will put them on here as well. And before we wrap this up, guys, we've got CFL football tonight. We've got Calgary and Montreal right now, which should be probably starting the fourth quarter. And the last count, it was Calgary 7, Montreal 4. That was early in the game. And then we've got a doubleheader tonight. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 on the West Coast. The 5-9 Toronto Argonauts, led by Nick Arbuckle, who's back from injury, take on Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions, 7-7. And also the Argo Bounce podcast show, episode 13, will come back next week with Nick Small, my co-host, and myself. And me and Nick will break down the Argos BC Lion game. And me and Nick are going to talk about Stuart Johnston, the CFL commissioner's press conference this last Monday, with a lot of major changes to the game of CFL, with the goalposts going to the back of the end zone like the NFL, reducing the end zones from 20 yards down to 15 yards, and to reduce the field from 110 yards to 100 yards like an NFL field. But the 3 downs are staying, the emotion's staying, and the 65-yard width is staying as well. So we'll talk about that as well. And the Argos' last regular season home game of the year, and probably for the season, it will be Saturday, October 4th, 3 o'clock at BMO Field. You can get tickets at argonauts.ca or watch the game on TSN or TSN 1050 with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant. It is Buffalo Bills Day at BMO Field for that game. They're going to have former Buffalo Bills legends and quarterbacks Jim Kelly and Doug Flutie there to meet and greet the fans before the game. And the first 7,500 fans to BMO Field that day will get a commemorative Doug Flutie Argos Bills t-shirt as well. And speaking of Toronto Argonauts, if you're looking to get season tickets in 2026, you can contact the Toronto Argonauts account coordinator Jada Christian at 416-815-6139, or you can email Jada Christian at jada.christian@mose.com. And I want to say thank you to her help this year as a being media member and a season ticket holder as well. As we wrap up this show, guys, check out a 2025 Trax LT finance from 0.99% for 60 months, plus get a gift, plus a Costco wholesale gift card, $1,200 for eligible Costco executive members, and $1,000 for non-executive members. More details at barrycullen.com or visit the dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet is the proud sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And as we wrap up this show, guys, if you're in the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area and you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society, located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. If you go on their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org, they have an Amazon wish list, and they're always looking for gift cards from the Dollarama store, from Canadian Tire, or they're looking for pet food for their pet emergency fund they do every Wednesday in Cambridge for people struggling as well. And all the animals that are up for adoption, their profiles are on the Cambridge Humane Society website as well. And that wraps up our show for tonight. I had a busy day with Matt Derry at 12 o'clock and Edward Hearn tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed talking Detroit Lions, Cleveland Guardians, and some of Edward's motorcycle career as well. And again, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show brought to you by BarryCullen.com. Monday, September 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern, with special guest Kim Tran, a self-love and manifestation coach as well. And I'm hoping to get another episode of the Small Talk podcast, hopefully next week as well, with co-host Marlene Sharp and myself. When we announce our next show, we will let you guys know. And the Argo Bounce podcast show will be back next week with Nick Small and myself as well. So I hope everybody enjoys their weekend, enjoys the CFL action, the NFL games, and the Major League Baseball playoffs. The Tigers are taking on the Red Sox tonight, and the Cleveland Guardians are taking on Texas as well. And we'll see what happens. The Tigers could very well win their division and start at home next week. Or if things go badly this weekend, they could be eliminated as well. Anyways, thank you to everybody for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show and my special guest, Edward Hearn, tonight. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. By the way, Philadelphia Eagles 3-0 take on Tampa Bay 3-0 Sunday at 1 o'clock. Jalen Hurts against Baker Mayfield. And I've got the Eagles winning that game 24-21. Eagles 24, Birds 21 as well. And Matt Derry's and Edward Hearns' Detroit Lions take on Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns, 1 o'clock Eastern from Ford Field as well. So Lions and Browns at 1, and the Eagles and Bucks at 1 o'clock as well. So it's going to be a great weekend for everybody. So we'll see you back here Monday night, September 29th, 7 o'clock, with special guest Kim Tran. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And as always, go Birds and go Argos.